practice and make it as full speed and realistic as you can be, and then sometimes you get to the game and it's just
seems too fast for him. It's your job as a head coach to get the young quarterback ready to play in the game. It's your job as a head coach and Tommy Rees as an offensive coordinator to have a opening script of plays that he likes. That is one of the major things, is at some point is Jimmy Haslam gonna get out the way. That's one of the major things. But I think even if you keep Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski got to go.
Kevin Stefanski tried to blame Shedeur for being slow, but the moment fans pushed back, he knew he messed up. Because anyone watching the game saw the truth, Shedeur was the only one keeping that offense alive. Stefanski keeps talking about game speed, but that excuse falls flat when it's his job to make sure his young quarterback is ready for it. You can't blame Shedeur for looking uncomfortable when the coaching staff can't even create a real game plan in practice. A head coach is supposed to prepare his quarterback, not leave him hanging and then point fingers after the fact. Stefanski acts like the speed shocked him, but he's the one in charge of making sure nothing on Sunday feels new. That's not on Shedeur. That's on a coach who didn't do his homework. And then Stefanski wants to talk about play calling. But the plays didn't even look like they were built around Shedeur's strengths. A real coach builds a script that helps his quarterback get comfortable early. Stefanski and his staff look like they were calling plays for themselves, not for the guy actually throwing the ball. That's why Shedeur had to survive the game, not play it with support. The kids still kept the ball safe, made smart reads, and stayed patient, something the coaching staff clearly wasn't doing. When your quarterback looks more composed than your coaches, that is a problem. At some point, the blame has to go where it belongs. You can talk about ownership in the front office all day, but Stefanski is the one failing on the field right now. He keeps protecting his own image while throwing a young quarterback into the fire with no proper help. And this is what we have witnessed on the last 2 Sundays. Shedeur is doing his part. He studies, prepares, and plays with calm, even when the system around him is falling apart. Stefanski wants credit when things go right, but the moment things go wrong, he wants to hide behind excuses.
Shedeur on Wednesday, he felt like he saw what he needed to see on Sunday, but didn't always let it go. Right? He was hesitant to rip it for whatever reason. So how do you get him kind of past that hurdle where he feels just completely comfortable doing it?
Yeah, I think it's just a natural maturation of young players. Certainly quarterbacks getting that feel for some of those looks that you're seeing for the first time. And you try to replicate those looks in practice and make it as full speed and realistic as you can be. And then sometimes you get to the game and it's just that game speed. So I think he's doing a nice job.
Oh, so you guys are playing at one speed in practice, but when you get to the game, it seems too fast for him. It's your job as a head coach to get the young quarterback ready to play in the game. It's your job as a head coach and Tommy Rees as an offensive coordinator to have a opening script of plays that he likes, not just plays that you like. It's your job to put him in position to succeed. These things are kind of your job. I know you don't want to do it for him, but it's your job. Don't get up here and talk about, we're trying to do it at the speed, but then when we get in the game, it's just a different speed. And like he having a hard time with the speed.
Stefanski keeps talking like Shedeur's hesitation is some natural young player thing, but his words basically admit something much bigger. He's saying the team practices at one speed, then the game hits at a completely different speed, and somehow that's on the quarterback. That's a huge red flag. If the looks in practice don't match the real pressure and real tempo of a game, that's not Shedeur's issue. That's a failure in coaching. Stefanski tries to make it sound normal, like this is just what young quarterbacks go through. But that's only true when a staff actually prepares them. Instead of helping Shedeur get comfortable with those new defensive looks, he's giving excuses for why the game felt too fast. He tries to soften it by saying Shedeur is doing a nice job, but that doesn't change the fact that his own explanation exposes poor preparation. That's where the whole narrative shifts, because when someone points out how strange Stefanski's comments sound, it becomes clear how backwards his approach is. You don't tell the world the speed shocked your quarterback. You make sure he never feels that shock in the first place. It's the coach's job to build a practice environment that matches the real thing. It's the coach's job to create a game plan that fits the quarterback, not the other way around. Shedeur is doing everything right, studying, preparing, trying to understand the field, and even staying calm when things around him break down. Yet Stefanski talks like he's just waiting for Shedeur to grow out of the problem instead of fixing the part that he controls. A young quarterback shouldn't have to survive bad preparation. He should be supported, not thrown into a faster game than he was trained for. That's why the blame doesn't fall on Shedeur. It falls on the head coach who keeps explaining the problem instead of solving it.
Like, come on, man.
To replicate those looks in practice and make it as full speed and realistic as you can be, and then sometimes you get to the game and it's just that game speed. So I think he's doing a nice job of operating the offense, and I knowing the person and knowing the player, I have no concerns about him letting it rip, quote unquote.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he gonna take his shots and throw the ball down the field.
Stefanski talks about trying to replicate game looks in practice, and he basically admits his practices still don't match real game speed. That alone tells you why Shedeur is being put in tough spots. A good coach makes sure a young quarterback sees the hardest looks before Sunday, not during it. And then he tries to cover it by saying he has no concerns about Shedeur taking shots. But that's easy to say after the fact. If he truly believed in Shedeur's ability to let the ball fly, he would have built a plan that actually lets him do it. Instead, the preparation is slow, the looks are soft, and the offense is built around caution, and then Shedeur gets blamed for not ripping it fast enough. That's not on the quarterback, that's on the guy running the room. When fans point out how Stefanski preferred another quarterback who couldn't push the ball downfield, it exposes the real issue. The hesitation comes from a coach who clearly didn't want a true downfield passer in the first place. Stefanski wanted safe throws and low-risk plays, and now he's acting surprised when the offense looks limited. Shedeur actually can take deep shots, and he has shown he can read the field, but he's stuck in a system that doesn't match his strengths. So Stefanski is talking like everything is fine doesn't fix the real problem. Shedeur isn't the one holding the offense back. The slow practice tempo, the soft preparation, and the outdated quarterback choices are doing that.
If you hire a new GM, technically, they could just tear it all the way. Like this.
No, they can't. That's the thing here. This year, San Francisco and Seattle both consciously tried to get ahead and cut older players, one of whom being Malik Collins, and the Browns were right there to pounce, right? But they can't because they're stuck in this money with these contracts. Your choice on Deshaun Watson next year is $80 million to be released or $40 million to be on the team.
Oh my God!
So
$40 million on the team just pushes the other.
And it pushes the other.
So a new
Spreading
GM,
out the pain.
a new GM comes in and says, I don't want to be on the team. I'm 80. So that's 80. That's 80 gone. You have no linemen.
Right.
Then your new coach or GM says, I want my quarterback. So you go whatever you go get a quarterback. So you meaning to tell me that if you do make a change in regimes, it theoretically could be worse than.
Yes, the financial mess is real. Any new GM would walk into a room full of contracts that can't be touched without blowing up the whole roster. Cutting Watson costs a fortune. Keeping him just delays the hit. And if you remove him, you lose linemen, depth, and the entire structure of the team. So yes, changing regimes could make things worse on paper because of the money. But keeping Stefanski doesn't make anything better. The roster might be stuck, but the coach doesn't have to be. You can't keep a head coach who keeps blaming speed, keeps hiding behind excuses, and keeps putting a young quarterback into slow practices and fast games. Why should Shedeur suffer because the front office mismanaged money? Why should a quarterback who actually works hard and tries to do his job be held back by a coach who refuses to do his? And the important point is, even if the contracts trap the team, the culture doesn't have to stay trapped too. Firing Stefanski will not fix the cap, but it fixes the message. It tells the locker room that the team is done accepting weak preparation and slow coaching. It tells Shedeur he's finally going to be coached to his strengths, not boxed into a playbook that wasn't built for him. If the team is already stuck financially, then at least fix the part you can control. Why keep a coach who slows down your quarterback? Why keep someone who keeps talking about problems instead of solving them? Why keep someone who makes the game harder for the one player actually trying to push the offense forward? The money might limit your options, but firing Stefanski is still the easiest move you can make right now.
Oh, they're going to get a gap year of their own. Whoever comes in.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do. They're going to tear it down as far as possible. Not all the way down, not 2016, because it's just a different setup.
Right.
But
yes,
ultimately, if they get the right quarterback, that's the thing that will turn
I
it
think
around.
as of this moment, 13 of the 53 are rookies. So when we sit here next year on December 1st, 26 to 30 of the 53 will be first or second year players.
Oh yeah, that's one win.
If
they're the right ones,
if they're
you're
the
on
right
the way
ones,
up.
yeah.
Not only now you can say, okay, now we're building something with solid building blocks that's not smoke and mirrors.
Right.
They're all good young players on manageable contracts. Extend the ones that you think are worthy of extensions. But that it would excite me as a fan. If you could duplicate this class with this next class.
Oh, sure.
The idea of resetting the roster with young, hungry players actually makes sense. If almost half the team next year is going to be first or second year players, then that's the perfect moment to build something real. Young players on good contracts, fresh energy, new talent. That's how you start turning things around without fake hype or shortcuts. And if you hit on the right quarterback, the whole rebuild speeds up. But here's the truth nobody wants to avoid. You cannot pair a young roster with a coach who already failed to prepare the young quarterback he has right now. How do you bring in 20-plus fresh players and trust Stefanski to develop them when he can't even give Shedeur a proper practice environment? How do you rebuild with youth and then leave them with a coach who moves slow, reacts slow, and excuses slow? What's the point of new building blocks if the builder himself can't be trusted? That's why Stefanski still has to go, even if the roster gets younger, even if the contracts get balanced, even if the draft hits again. Young players need a coach who pushes them, not one who hides behind phrases about maturation and game speed. Shedeur is exactly the kind of quarterback who can grow with a young roster. But he needs a leader who matches his effort. He needs someone who actually speeds up the offense instead of slowing it down. If the team is heading toward a youth movement, then they need a coach who loves development, not someone who keeps giving reasons instead of solutions. So yes, a young core is exciting, but it only works if you remove the one person who keeps holding it back. If you want Shedeur and the new players to thrive, Stefanski cannot be the one guiding the future. Anyways, Cleveland's future won't change until they stop letting slow coaching hold back a fast-growing young quarterback like Shedeur. The roster can reset, but the leadership must reset too. Make sure to subscribe and like for more updates on this whole situation. Do you think Shedeur can reach his full potential if Stefanski stays? Or is it time for a new voice?